All right, I think we're live. Hello. Hello, nobody? All right, we're going to work on my EnderWire some more tonight. Let's head on over the bench top and I'll let you know where we're at. Oh, helps if I turn my camera on. Rookie move. There we go. So, one second here. Here we are. The EnderWire. So last week we finished. Oh, hang on. I gotta fix this while I'm looking at it. It is not installed correctly. Like these screws didn't tighten up the way they were supposed to, and they were holding the tool head out. Still doesn't look quite right. What's going on here? I gotta take a peek at this before we go any further. So last night I got the cable chains run. They're all done. And I got the tool head board mounted underneath this cover here. I ran into some issues on my last stream where that tool head board wasn't quite right. I got those straightened with a little bit of CAD work. Got a new one printed. And then, like I said, last night I got the cable chains done. So just about everything on top of the printer is tidied up. I still have to tension my belts and make sure my pulleys are aligned. On my lunch break today, I worked on the wiring a little bit. Still got to finish that up and print some parts. So I'm hoping that we can get to a point of configuration in the not too distant future. Would be exciting to see this thing move on its own, huh? This is up in place where it's supposed to be. Slide the fan module back on here. And this music's kind of aggressive tonight. Still new to this whole YouTube thing, and even though this is supposed to be DMCA free music on Spotify, I got a copyright warning, so I had to change it up. Not that I'm making any money off of this whatsoever, but can't have them copyright strikes, right? Also, I don't think I love my name. I'm not even sure that I... Oh! You have so much energy. What's up, Drew? Because of the aggressive music, or are you just in a good mood? Yeah. Well, it's not what I would generally tend to put on, but like I was saying, I got on Spotify, there's some playlists that are like safe for production music or whatever, and I was using one of those, but ended up with some copyright claims, so trying to make sure everything's kosher. So the printer's coming together here. It looks pretty sweet. Be good for the final sprint. Yeah. There's not very many options is the problem, and the one that was a little bit more chill was getting copyright strikes. Not strikes, but copyright claims. I would love to find something a little bluesy. You like my enclosure versus a traditional stealth burner? Well, to be fair, it's not mine. You're talking about the fan housing here and just like the general form factor. So to be fair, it's not mine. Just trying to put this cable guide on here. I need some hardware. Like I was saying on the other stream, this is a tool head that somebody else made. It is just a stealth burner inside, but it was made for kind of a tribute printer. And I kind of dug the look of it, so figured I've done. This guy right here is just a regular stealth burner, and this one over here is a regular stealth burner. And I got one more on the floor, way off camera, that's a regular stealth burner. I thought I'd do something a little bit different. My next, I'm not sure if it's going to be actually next, but I want to redo the tool head on my V0 also. I have a little mini printer, and I think I'm going to move away from the stealth burner on that as well. Just for something a little bit different. Not that there's anything wrong with a stealth burner, but kind of sick of building them. I tell you what, Drew, if you're interested, that little V0 that I built, let me grab it real quick, I'll show you. This thing was an absolute blast to build. Let me go to this camera. This little guy. Just a tiny little bed, tiny little printer. That's what got me hooked. That printer was so much fun to build. Your little split dinner time is hectic. Oh yeah, no problem. You got obligations, things to take care of. Take care of your things. You're not beholden to me whatsoever, buddy. I appreciate that you show up. I actually think this cable chain is a little short. You're here for it just might be slow to respond. Yeah, no problem. Say hi to the kiddos. Hey Avery, hey Arlo. Paige also. Hi Paige. I don't know if she's there or not. So I just noticed that I don't have full movement out of my Z-axis here, so I'm gonna add some chain. Been rabbit holing. There's a lot of cool rabbit holes. Hyper focusing is the new woke kids say, sure. Better than, what'd you tell me you were doing the other day, turtling? Lots of verbs with you lately, Drew. You've been verbing a lot lately. To look at what I'm working on instead of... Yeah, I gotta do something about this camera too. This camera is not great. What have you been hyper focusing on? Oh, on printers? Well, if you got questions, I've got answers. And if it's something you're interested in trying out, let me know. I'll see if I can work something out for you. Or at least help you out. Not that printers are super easy to ship. I don't think I could just ship you one of mine out, but... The thing about the hobby is that you kind of have to decide whether you want 3D printing to be your hobby or whether you want 3D printers to be your hobby. Because if you approach it with the wrong mindset, you are probably going to be disappointed. And what I mean by that is, and don't get me wrong, I think printing stuff is cool, but I really like the motion systems mechanical aspect of this. And I don't really like printing frivolous things to sit on a shelf and be like the hot new cool print. Like, that's not really what I'm into. I like things with a purpose and making things that do a thing when I'm done. And I really wish I had like one more link of chain here. So there's a Micro Center in Dallas and they have a decent deal on Ender 3 Pros. What is a decent deal on an Ender 3 Pro? You like the tinkering? Yeah. So if you wanna, I mean, you have to start with a printer, obviously. Okay, yeah, 150 is not that bad. There is, the thing with Enders is that they're not set it and forget it. Like, they need some love up front, and they need some love to keep going, which is fine for tinkering, but it's not ideal for somebody that's trying to learn, because you're basically forced to learn everything all at once. Not saying there's anything wrong with an Ender, and the cool thing about an Ender is you can turn it into this when you're ready. But the Ender isn't the most capable machine out of the box, and it's got some pretty stiff competition now. The Bamboo Labs A1 series, the A1 Mini and the regular A1, are leaps and bounds better printers for not a whole lot more money. And the trade-off is that they're not very tinkerable. Like, you can still print projects and do the projects, but you're not going to be messing with the printer. And that can be kind of a boon as well, because if you're not well versed in everything, like, messing with a printer might take your printer down, and then you don't have any way to get it back up because you don't have a printer to print parts for your printer. Lots of people start with an Ender though. Chris that was here the other day, I found a decent deal on a used Ender on Facebook Marketplace and got it all tuned up for him, and that thing printed better than it had any right to print. And Chris definitely got hooked. He went out and bought like top of the line Mac Daddy Bamboo after having only ever used an Ender 3. A third-hand Ender 3. See if you can, if you're gonna pick up an Ender from Micro Center, see if you can find a coupon. I don't know if it's still out there, but for a long time there was a coupon on the internet that you could just print out that if you were a new customer to Micro Center, the printer from Micro Center is used? It doesn't seem right. This kit, like this Ender that I unboxed in this first stream, was $100, $99.99 at Micro Center with a new customer coupon. Oh, okay. On Marketplace. Yeah, I don't know why people ask so much for them. It's crazy. All the ones around here are the same. Like I've been keeping an eye out because I've got a whole bunch of people kind of in line waiting for me to find printers for them. And yeah, people want a fortune for them for some reason. Not exactly sure why. So, let's see. Yeah, I really wish that my little desktop camera here was better quality, this little webcam. Not really doing what I want it to. Maybe I should find another GoPro. Hey Drew, this image of me right here, this image is pretty good, right? The headshot cam. Look at my ugly mug. And also, I'm assuming you have audio now. You said this screen didn't have audio before? Yes, okay, good. Yeah, there was a problem with my settings, I fixed it. My head's hot is good. Yeah, so this is just a GoPro. And I might keep an eye out for a used GoPro to replace this guy with, because this image kind of sucks. It actually looks like it's not focused around the edges. I don't think there's anything I can do for that though. And I'm at too odd of an angle for this guy for doing this kind of work. Alright, so if you can see this, I started running some wires last night. This bundle here comes out of this drag chain that I was just messing with on top. And that's going to be all the important fiddly bits for my tool head. I've got two wires that come up here to this little clipper expander. This is basically a breakout board that gives, because we're using this stock Creality board, this gives a little bit of extra functionality because we're a little bit light on outputs. So the only thing that I have going to this right now are two fans. My part cooling fan and my hot end fan. I run off this little sub board. I have this guy here is a buck converter, a DC to DC converter. It takes 24 volts from the power supply and changes it into 5 volts. And that is run to the Raspberry Pi down here, powering the Pi. I got power in from the main board. Down here is where all the mess is. I have my mains wiring. This is what comes in out of the wall through a switch and then goes to the power supply. I need to do something through this area because there's a lot of sharp edges, so I got to figure out what to do there. There is a piece that it told me to print, but it didn't fit right. So I might just wrap those. I have some fabric tape. I just wrap those with some tape. I've got these colorful wires coming out of both sides here. Are my X and Z steppers. That's what's going to move the tool head around. I still have to run those wires. I have power supply to my main board here that I have to route. This is my bed. I think yesterday when I started the stream, I did a quick recap of where I was. I had to extend the bed wires a little bit. And instead of wiring them directly to my outputs, I wired them to a XT60 connector. That way I can just plug in if I have to change anything around. I don't have to fiddle with screws or taking the bed off or cutting wires or anything. I do have to do something with this guy down here. I don't know if you can see this. This is a thermistor for the bed. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with that though. I have to run that over to here somewhere. And then what else do I have? I got a bunch of USB cables. Down at the bottom of the pie, I got 3 USB cables. One runs up this side to my screen that you can't see. Still can't see it. Well, take my word for it. Runs up there. One of these, this one here, goes to the Creality main board. And then this other one runs up to this clipper expander, the expansion board. I have to wire this guy. This is my case fan. And I couldn't find in the documentation for this kit what this was for. Labeled F5. I'm assuming that's going to be for LEDs, but I don't see any place where it tells me where to plug it in. And I also didn't see any configuration guidance from Siboor. I don't know quite what's going on there either. Right now I just want to kind of tidy up my wiring a little bit. It's not bad, but it's not great. I started printing some of these little cable clips on lunch. I got a handful more here to install, just to kind of keep the wires neat and a little bit less of a rat's nest. It's hard because a lot of these wires come pre-crimped, and when you're dealing with terminal housings this small, it's really hard to crimp them. Oh, one more thing. Out of the bottom, down here, I also have my Y end stop and my Y stepper motor. So I gotta get those plugged in. But I think I need to run those. Yeah. Well, the end stop goes down here, so I guess I really don't. This can just get plugged in. That can probably go in this guy. If it'll fit, that is. Got a lot of wires shoved in this thing. I got a lot of wires plus 6 more. It is why? Why? Because we can. Because we love you, right? Wasn't that one of those kids' shows? Why? Because we love you. Much as it pains me to, I might just coil these up. Man, I really don't want to though. I wonder if I could crisscross applesauce them. Go down and up. And do the opposite on this side. I think that'd just make it confusing though. Guess I just kind of wrap them up. That's not my favorite. Oh, that looks so shitty. What are we gonna do? I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna take pride in our work. And that raised latent impedance missing with sensors and stuff. What do you mean? Not sure what you mean by that. Having a coiled wire? Is that what you're talking about? These, yes and no. These aren't sensors, these are stepper motors. So all these are doing is, I don't know if you know how a stepper motor works. A stepper motor has basically windings that you're turning on and off to move the motor a specified amount by turning windings on and off, electromagnets on and off. So you're not, all you're doing is supplying current through these. You're not monitoring anything, really. I mean, you kind of are, but not really. So it's not like I'm looking for I don't know how to explain this while being 100% correct, because there's a lot of ifs, ands, maybes, whens. For the most part, it doesn't matter, because this isn't like, we're not measuring millivolts through these wires. We're just supplying current to the stepper motors. Yeah. And it's DC. So DC doesn't make as much noise as AC current does electronically. It still makes noise, just not the same that like AC current would. Ideally, you wouldn't want to run anything around the mains wiring, because that is AC current, lots of noise there. But for what we're doing, coiling those wires up is fine. The problem with shortening these is that these pins are, let me go back to this view. These pins are minuscule. I can show you how minuscule. So crimping these is very difficult. You're dealing with very small, yeah, board connectors are super small. You're dealing with very small gauge wire and very small terminal ends. And as a generalization, you're going to have more issues from a poor quality crimp because you're dealing with such small components than you would have issues with interference. And if you're having issues with interference, there's ways to combat that too. I mean, you could put those ring magnet things, you can put those around your cables, you can put shielding around the cables if you want. There's different ways to do it. But for anything I'm going to do here, it's not going to matter. So I'm not going to worry about it. I like the way you think though, Drew. Spend enough time online, you'll find somebody to agree with you also. Also, I am by no means an expert. I started 3D printing like 13 months ago. Not pretty, so I gotta be vaguely smart. Feel your pain, buddy. Enough to get me in trouble anyways. Well, as long as you can get yourself out of trouble, that's the important part. All right, I think I'm gonna throw one of these guys back to the other screen. I'm going to throw one of these guys here. Keep these. That won't work. Oh, maybe it will. Maybe that'll work just fine. This can actually go inside this one, I think. Figure if you can find 3 more useful things to print, you can justify getting a printer and judge from there. Ooh, what's your first useful thing that you're going to print? You said 3 more, so you already got one. What is it? Tell me. Gridfinity. All right, hang on. Let's go for a walk real quick. Bam! Gridfinity. And I designed all of those things. I told myself if I was going to do Gridfinity, I wanted to use it to learn CAD. I actually 3D printed some tools for work a couple weeks ago. We were doing a high voltage battery, and there's some little protectors that go, like, if these are the posts for the bus bars for the high voltage battery, there's little protectors that you slide on to prevent you from shorting your tool against the case while you're taking the bus bars off. And we got, I think the high voltage kit came with 2 of them. And when I went to ask for some more, because when you're working in there, you've got a pair of cotton gloves on that protect the rubber gloves on top from your hands. And then you have a pair of leather gloves on top of the rubber gloves to protect the leather glove or the rubber gloves from the car. So you got 3 layers of gloves on. You can barely move your hands, and trying to like fish these pieces of plastic out with like barely any finger movement and not being able to feel anything is a nightmare. So I went to ask about ordering some more of those little things, and they were, I don't remember now, $97 a piece. And if we were doing an entire battery, I would need 12 of them. So I brought one home and modeled it up in CAD and ran off a couple dozen. Yeah. Yep, they were silly. Silly expensive. I mean, I'm sure mine aren't, you know, HV rated or whatever, but they'll stop you from touching the thing, which is what they have to do. All right, I think we're gonna come across like this. Trying to think of other useful things I've printed. I mean, it's all useful, right? I printed other printers, they're useful. Oh, duh. So, ooh, camception. The GoPro is being held up with a 3D printed mount on 3D printed arms on a 3D printed stand. And my lights are in 3D printed brackets that I designed. My camera, I designed this whole thing. I don't know if you can see that, but there's another bracket down there. And then I designed these joints in CAD that come out to hold my camera for my overhead shot. For our equipment, we have these 24-pin lock and cam plugs that get a lot of use in where they have adapters. Basically, female, directly on a male connector. $900 a piece, holy moly. Which joints? Are you talking about the ones for my overhead camera rig or the ones for the GoPro? Overhead. They are toothed. Not focusing very well. You see on this one? It's pretty tough to do. Am I making you dizzy yet? I mean, you can kind of see they're toothed. So when there's a bolt in the end, and when I tighten it down, it just locks it in place. So there's not really tension. Oh, and then if we go back to this view, I can show you that this camera mount is also 3D printed. I think it's a pretty slick little system. It's just conduit from Home Depot. It was like, I don't know, 14 bucks for a stick of conduit, and then a little bit of plastic and some nuts and bolts. And what's cool about it is I can slide everything around. I super glued the conduit into the connector ends, so like they don't rotate, but there's still adjustability there. And then the piece that holds the camera, I can slide back and forth to like change where it is overhead. And I just got done making this guy. I designed this in CAD. That's gonna go on this same rig because I have these lights that are really nice. I used to have some box lights up here that I'm gonna bring back because they're a lot brighter, but the light color was a lot colder. They made a lot bluer light than these do. These have an adjustable temperature setting on them. The problem is I don't think they're quite bright enough, and it's given me, I've noticed some issues on the stream because they're not quite bright enough. So I want to move the panel lights next to the camera, and then I'll bring either one or both of those box lights back up. Put a lot of work into this. I know it not the most professional thing in the world, and definitely have a lot to learn, but I've been working on this for, geez, I don't know, since the summer, at least since the fall. I'm working on getting this set up. Just a second here and I'll get back to work. That's kind of the cool thing about 3D printing though, is if you got an idea, you just make it. CAD is my next thing. Were you here when I explained Tinkercad at all, Drew? Yeah, so Tinkercad is meant for like 8th graders to learn CAD. So it's pretty easy to use, but it's pretty not very powerful. And I think I have run into some of the limits of it. The one thing that Tinkercad will do that I don't think I'm quite smart enough to figure out is that if you remember back to high school, shapes can be defined by mathematical equations, and Tinkercad has a programming suite built into it, where it's a whole part of the program I haven't used, but you can use the programming suite to define geometry based on mathematics and have it put like in your CAD. And I'm not smart enough for that. That would be like the next step of me in Tinkercad, but if I'm gonna put the effort in to learn that, I think I would rather just learn like an actual CAD program. So I really need to just bite the bullet and learn Fusion. It is on my bucket list for this year. Here's what I think I'm gonna do. Slide this back over. And a little bit more wire out this end. I think I want to move these down so that I can try and keep this guy away from the mains power. Something like that. Ish. Maybe. Really like to keep that away from that sharp edge too. I got plenty of slack here. Let's just put that. You, I saw that picture you sent the other day. You got a laptop or something you can use to run the printer with? Like, is that laptop you have printerable? The slicing software, which you use to actually make the printer go burr, is a little bit intensive. Not that it takes a lot to run, but if you're not quite up to speed, it'll be slow and stuttery while it's slicing, at least. Minis have been freaking out in turn since she got home. No problem. Understand. Were you in Fort Worth today, or at work today, or where are you getting home from? Hadn't thought about the computer / slicing aspect. Yeah, so like you don't actually, my computer or my printers are a little bit different because they're running Clipper. I'll show you a little bit more of that after I get the thing configured. Oh, picking Arlo up from daycare. But the way I've been explaining this to people is that when you have a file to print normally, you have Microsoft Word to make your text document, right? Microsoft Word is your CAD program. Then you click the print button and that little window comes up that asks you about your printer settings, what printer you want to send it to, whether you want a landscape or portrait, what size paper you have, all that stuff. That's your slicer that takes that Word document and puts it into a language that the printer can understand. The difference is that while it might only be a couple bits or bytes for your Word document, your G-code file for your 3D printed object is going to be massive. I can pull something up here and tell you how massive. There's somewhere. Here is support arm, which I believe are these guys here. This is 1, 2, 3, there's 4 of them. So one of these guys was 30,000 kilobytes of data for just this part. And your slicer has to extrapolate that out of a 3D model, which, if your hardware isn't quite up to snuff, can be a little daunting. Yeah. I mean, you don't need a killer machine to run a slicer either. It just might take a while to slice a print. I have thus far gotten a bunch of people at work hooked on 3D printers. It's a pretty unique engineering puzzle, way to see the world. You start looking at everyday objects differently. Like, ooh, how would I print that? kind of plastic is that made out of? This song is way more chill than whatever was on when you got on there, Drew. I'd love to find a station that was a little bit more bluesy, but can't find any DRM free blues music. You can try. Yeah, you're welcome to. If you find something, I'll play it. Like I said, it's just got to be no digital rights free or whatever. Copyright free. Available for public use. Otherwise, YouTube yells at you. That's right, corporate overlords, always getting in the way of having fun. Man, I might need to run off some more of these. I've already used a ton of them. I only got 3 left. There we go. Wow, that actually did a lot to clean things up. That one clip. Can't even tell if you can see anything because I got a window up in front of it. Can't really see anything anyway because this quality of this image is garbage. Alright, that's my mission for this weekend, is to find a cheap GoPro on Marketplace. Sure, they're out there. I don't think that's too bad. It's still a little rat's nesty, but GoPro 2 here for 40. That thing looks ancient. So this one is a Hero 3. That's like 12 years old, maybe? Maybe even older than that. That doesn't look too bad. Oh, not a Hero, just a GoPro. Holy moly. Yeah, it probably is ancient. I think we're still going to end up with a coil here, but better than it would have been otherwise. I do have some zap straps. Flapping out the side like a makeshift handle. Yeah, I don't think that's quite gonna work. I could probably take all the slack over here though. At least that way it's instant cable management. That's right, zip ties for the win. So you've been looking at any other printers, Drew, or just the Enders? All right, I just got 2 connections. Well, 3 if you count this guy. Got this guy over here, this guy over here, and then the bed. Oh, and whatever F5 is. Nice. We're getting there. I think it looks pretty good. Well, as good as can be expected for that. I don't think I'm getting around that though. F5 nadir? I don't know. Yeah, we'll on it. Look over here. F5. The instructions don't say what it's for. I'm assuming it's for LEDs, but haven't looked at many others because you really like the modding / tinkering aspect. Well, would you be opposed to your first printer being a kit? Sensor thingy on the toolhead. No, that's plugged in. So I can go over this with you. This guy over here is my probe. This connector here. That's the sensor on the head. This is my... Oh, I'm sorry, I lied. This is my extruder. Stepper motor for my extruder. This is my Z stepper. This is my Y stepper, and this is my X stepper. Down here, this guy, really hard to see. It doesn't help because this thing doesn't focus at all. It's like the cheapest webcam on the planet. This is my probe. This guy over here is my hot end thermistor. It's a sensor for the heater block. This is my Y end stop. This is my X end stop. This is power supply to the board over here. And then my bed wiring will be somewhere in one of those other screw terminals there. Well, if you're not opposed to a kit, let me do a little bit of research. A printer for somebody that is familiar with printers but has never built one before will probably take about 15 to 20 hours to complete, if you can stay at it. A printer for somebody that's never done anything with printers will probably take longer. So the only thing I'd be worried about with a printer kit with you is that you might not get it done. But if you're wanting to tinker, like, it's kind of hard for me to recommend you buy a printer just to tear it all apart and mess with it and not like learn the printer first, you know what I mean? Alright, I need to come up with a way to extend these. That's why I was thinking that Ender 3 is a decent price. Run off a few decent things and judge from there. Yeah, I mean, it could be. Could definitely be. Let me think about it for a little bit. Not that you were probably looking at running out and grabbing one right away anyway, but let me think about it for a little bit. See what I can come up with for you. Let me run over to my toolbox for a second. And I don't have what I was looking for. Just figured any kit would require printed parts. That, my friend, is untrue. Lots of kits do require printed parts. However, not all of them. The reason I bought that little V0 kit was specifically because it did not require printed parts. It shipped with them. And all of these Vorons are designed in such a way that the functional components, which is the pieces that make the printer go burr, will fit on a V0 build plate. Now things like skirts and trim pieces and stuff like that may not always fit on a V0 build plate. But all of the functional parts will. Wish I had a way to... Kind of a shame there's not a zip tie location on this piece. I'd like to kind of constrain this if possible. I think Priscilla's home. I should probably get off of here. Go say hi to my wife. Yeah, like I said, don't do anything yet. Let me do a little bit of research and see if I have any different recommendations for you. Siboor, Siboor. Go to the computer. Okay. The company that this kit is from, the kit that I'm using right now, Siboor. That's who the kit for my V0 is. I hear you, yes, I hear you just like to research. I do, in fact, I really like to research. So $4.99 it looks like for V0. This is the kit that I have. Once you're interested in something, you want to know all of it. That is the cool thing about 3D printers, is there are so many little rabbit holes to dive down. It's kind of unreal. Kind of unreal just how much goes into one of these little machines, and like where all of the different ways to focus your energy are. It's a ton of fun. Because my mom bought me my first 3D printer for Christmas, not this past year but the year before, and I told her I spent like a weekend just on a bender trying to learn everything about this printer. You saw a thing today about Sanjay Mortimer? Yeah, I was talking about him, I don't know, one of my streams I was talking about him a little bit. E3D, Sanjay Mortimer. But I was telling Mom after I had like a weekend bender of 3D printing, whatever, that I came to a point in the weekend that I thought to myself, I think I've wasted a large portion of my life. Like, it's just so interesting and so many little places to crawl into and explore. Like, I wish I had gotten into this much sooner. You just literally old. Yeah. Well, I mean, if you think about it, like, this kind of stuff is in our blood, right? Grandpa was an engineer for Xerox. Hang on. Let me move this for a moment. Grandpa was an engineer for Xerox. This is where I got all my 3D printer and CNC tools. Dad was an industrial arts teacher. He was a shop teacher before he went to work at the power plant writing repair manuals. And I think to myself a lot of times, like, how cool would it be to share some of this stuff that I'm doing with Dad and Grandpa? I think both of them would get such a kick out of this. Even like the drone stuff, because drones are what got me into this. I got into drones and then wanted to make some of my own drone parts, so that's what got me interested in 3D printing. And I don't even think I've touched my drone remote radio since I got into 3D printing. But even the drones, like, I thought Dad would be like, I thought he'd think that was so cool. But at least I found it now. And hopefully I can spread the word. I'm glad it's something you're interested in. It'd be nice to have a common hobby with you, even all these miles apart. And like I said, I got a bunch of the guys from work, I've gotten into it. One of the old parts guys, I got into it. Haven't talked to him in a little bit because he went to work for a different dealership, but I got him into 3D printing, and my buddy Chris, who was here the other day, I got him in. And he's like full blown in. Like I said, he bought an Ender off of me that I kind of went through and rebuilt for him. And I mean, he went out and spent whatever, $1,300 or whatever on a brand new Bamboo X1 carbon with an AMS unit. Love to see what Dad would come up with for these, for sure. I don't know if you know this or not, but Dad did have a little bit of background in like mechanical drawing, and mechanical drawing was what people did before CAD. So I'm sure Dad would love it. I don't know, it would be weird to see Dad have the time for this though. Like, Dad was always either at the boat doing nothing or feverishly working on like something in the garage to fuel boat time. Like, there was no in between, you know what I mean? It'd be weird to see Dad with like extra time to play with a 3D printer. I don't think extra time was ever a thing for Dad. Be retired by now though. Yeah, well, that's what I mean though. It's like, I don't know. I'm not sure what that would look like. Yeah, exactly. Air quotes, retired. Well, all right, bud. I'm gonna hop off of here. Priscilla just got home, so I'm gonna go say hi to her for a little bit. For anybody else that tunes into this at a future date, because I have gotten some hits on these, believe it or not. People are interested in watching me tinker with random plastic parts. I'm probably gonna finish up this wiring off stream, and next time I go live, we will start getting the controllers configured. So you guys got that to look forward to. When I was trying to learn how to configure these controllers, I found a lot of piecemeal content, but nobody really did anything start to finish. So it was kind of tough. So I'm going to try and do this start to finish here. I don't think that this is the controller I'm going to stick with, but it's what I got for now, so it's what we're rolling with. But yeah, Drew, love you, bud. I got some. I'll do some research for you, let you know what I come up with. Give the kids a hug for me. Tell Paige I said hey. I'll talk to you later.